So let me ask you something. You see all these posts online all the time about people 10K cash collected, 20K cash collected in a month, all those types of posts, which is great. It's amazing. It's good. You worked hard in your business. But here's what these posts don't actually show you. That $150,000 in a year, depending on how you set up your business, could equal over $40,000 in taxes owed to the government. And if you haven't been planning for it, it doesn't care if you reinvested all of it into your business. It doesn't care that it's April and you haven't planned for it. All that the government cares about is that they are owed money. That tax bill, it just shows up in April and it hits like a truck and it devastates a lot of business owners. I've seen it happen time and time again. Successful entrepreneurs who run a real business making money and then get blindsided by a huge tax bill that just wipes out all the profit from their business. And it's not because they did anything wrong, it's just because they were never taught any better and never knew the rules of the game. My name is Harrison Patton. I'm a tax advisor and founder of Kaizen Accounting. I used to work at one of the biggest accounting firms in the country, one of the big four firms, and left that to start my own company to actually help entrepreneurs save money on taxes. I left because I kept watching the same thing happen over and over. I kept seeing these huge, big companies in America who had these entire teams dedicated strictly to tax strategy, while the average everyday entrepreneur, all he had was TurboTax and a nice little prayer. So I left and I built a system that fixes that. In the next 34 minutes, I'm going to show you the exact reason why you're overpaying on taxes and the exact system that I use with my clients to fix that issue and get you running a successful business that pays the minimum in tax possible. So I'm going to show you what the tax code actually rewards and the exact framework that I use with entrepreneurs across the country to legally help them keep more of what they earned every single year. Just the rules of the game, finally explained to you in plain English. So let's get into it. So here's what the average entrepreneur situation actually looks like. So you're building a successful business, right? You have revenue coming in. Your business is growing, you're able to post the wins on social media, and everything looks great on the outside. But behind the scenes, what's actually going on is you have a booklet of receipts that you haven't touched all year. You have books that show no idea what your actual profit and loss is from the year. And you've likely been meaning to sort out your business structure because you've heard about an S Corp or some other fancy mechanism, but you've just never gotten around to it. And every time somebody mentions taxes or tax season, there's this low level of anxiety that kicks in. You're not really sure how to respond to it. It's this feeling in the back of your mind where it's like, I know I should be doing something to handle this, but I'm not exactly sure where to go. So then, as per usual, you just kind of push it off, tell yourself you'll get around to it eventually, and keep doing that on repeat. You keep telling yourself you'll handle it when you have more time. When you actually know what you're doing, you'll take care of it, right? And then every year, inevitably, April comes around, and you get that tax bill that after having a successful year, you owe $40,000, $50,000 in taxes. And that money, it was supposed to go back into the business or back into other investments, but instead, it's all having to go to the IRS. And the worst part is, and the part that I want you to understand, is that it doesn't have to be that way. This isn't a tax issue. It's not a tax problem with the tax code or how it's run. Rather, it's a strategy problem. It's a planning problem that can easily be taken care of. So here's what I've learned working with hundreds of entrepreneurs and spending hours actually studying the tax code. It's that the tax code isn't written to hurt you. It's actually on your side. It was written as a book of incentives by the government. So essentially, if you do an action that they want, you get rewarded, right? And the people who you see that aren't paying that $40,000 in taxes, the ones that are making bukus of money yet owing nothing in taxes, it's because they understand that. They understand the rules of the game. So they're not paying $40,000 on $150K a year. Rather, they're paying a fraction of that, all legally, because they understand the rules. I've seen clients who were doing their own taxes, doing the TurboTax route, to switching with an actual tax strategy, and they were able to save 5 figures alone in a single year. And this is all just from basic stuff that they're already spending money on before we even get to the high level stuff. I've helped a client who was years behind on his taxes become fully compliant in just 8 weeks with a full strategy going forward on how we're going to be saving him money on taxes. I've watched entrepreneurs go from dreading April because of tax season to being completely unbothered by it because they have the peace of mind knowing that we put a strategy in place that has them completely taken care of. And that's exactly what this training is about. By the end of it, you're gonna know exactly why most entrepreneurs overpay on their taxes and the 3 specific things that cause it. You're gonna know exactly what the tax code rewards and how we can use it to our advantage. You're also gonna learn the exact 3-step blueprint system that I use with my clients to help them save money on taxes every single year. And lastly, you're gonna learn exactly what your next step is for your situation, so you can know if you should put this into action now or what the proper route is. Let's start with why people fail. And before we get going, I wanna start by just clarifying something. So if you've been overpaying on taxes or even been worried about overpaying on taxes, it's not because you're bad at business. It's not because you're not working hard enough. It's not because you're not smart enough. It's because most people are never taught the actual rules to the game. They don't teach it in school. Most accountants don't ever learn it and definitely don't teach it. And the internet is full of conflicting advice that just throws you and scrambles you all over the place. All of this makes it feel more complicated than it actually is. But when you really look at it, there's 3 main drivers as to why somebody is overpaying on taxes. And once you see them, you just can't unsee them anymore. So number 1, we have reactive thinking. So this is how entrepreneurs are going to be thinking about taxes only when it's due. They're only going to be thinking about taxes in April. And so what this causes is for us to not have a plan throughout the year. And so by April, when the bill arrives, there's nothing we can do, right? Because by that point, the window for us being able to make moves to lower that taxable income has already passed. The retirement deadline has already passed. We can't make any more business expenses because the taxable year is already passed. And entity elections are something that has to be done in the prior year in order for it to be in full effect. So essentially, we can't just create things out of memory once we're in March of the next year. So what I want you to think about is tax savings are like compound interest. The earlier you start, the bigger the returns, right? The later you start, the more it's gonna cost you once tax season rolls around. So the second thing that I see a lot when it comes to entrepreneurs overpaying on taxes is having the wrong entity structuring. This is something that's super easy to fix, but a common misunderstanding within the business community. A lot of entrepreneurs are running under the wrong entity. The most common one I see is still just being a regular single member LLC. What they should be doing is making the S Corp election, because as a single member LLC, every dollar of profit that you make is taxed at state, federal, and self-employment taxes, which is an extra 15.3%. So on 100K profit, that's over $15,000 just in the self-employment tax. By simply making the S Corp election and switching your business to being taxed as an S Corporation, you are legally able to be making a one-time move that's gonna save you over $8,000. And the part that I hate is that most people don't even know that it's an option. They don't know that it's an option that takes just filling out a form. And this could be something that all accountants, all tax strategists are pushing for that can help people pay less in taxes. And reason number 3 that most people are overpaying in taxes is what I like to call invisible deductions. So these are things that you are already paying for. So think of your internet bill when you work from home. Think of that computer that you just bought. These are things that you're already buying, but you're just not tracking, and so you're not getting the credit for it on your tax return. The money is already there. People are already spending it. They're just not tracking it, and they're not getting the benefit. When you're not tracking it, it means you're paying tax on income you didn't have to. I've seen people save thousands of dollars just from properly documenting all of their business expenses. It's these little moves like this that add up and are really where you see the compound effect take place. So if you've been doing any of these 3 things, reactive thinking, wrong entity structuring, or invisible deductions, that's a large portion of where your money is going. And that's exactly what we're going to fix. So now let me show you the other side. The entrepreneurs who I work with save money on taxes. That's just how it is. They go from dreading April to being completely unbothered by it. And they all have a few things in common. And none of it is complicated, contrary to what you might hear online. So first, they plan ahead. They're not waiting until tax season to worry about taxes. We're starting in April of the current year to plan for tax season the whole year. We're making moves ahead of time, planning ahead of time, so that when April comes around, we're in the best position possible to pay the least amount of taxes. Second thing is they have the right structure. They make sure that no matter if they have one business or have multiple businesses, that we have the right entity structuring legally and tax beneficially to save them money on taxes and make sure that they're protected. And this isn't some fancy offshore setup. This is simple things that we can do here in the US to make sure that we are set up properly to save money on taxes. And the third thing is they know what they can deduct. We know what things are ordinary and necessary in their business for the pursuit of income. And that's what the IRS allows, is anything that is ordinary and necessary for you. So there's no guessing, there's no Googling, there's no chat GPTing what is legal for them to write off. They have the set strategy and they know what is within the bounds and what they're able to deduct from their business. A key important part of this is that they're tracking it throughout the year. We're not going back in March and April trying to find random receipts for random expenses. We're doing that throughout the year and making sure that we have it tracked all year so we're never scrambling and we're always prepared. The next thing is that they have someone in their corner. They're not working with a reactive accountant that says, hey, just give me your numbers and I'll make the return. That's not the way to do it. They work with a proactive advisor who's looking at their numbers regularly, flagging opportunities, and adjusting the strategy as their business and life changes. And lastly, and this is the biggest part, they treat tax planning as an investment rather than an expense. Here's what I mean by that. If you're working with a tax professional who charges $10,000 a year, but is able to generate $30,000 of tax savings for you, that's a 3x on your investment. That's not a business expense, that's a return on the investment. And guess what? As you continue to work with them, it continues to compound and grow every single year. Find me another business expense that actually saves you more than it cost you. I'll wait. There are things that separate the entrepreneurs who save their money versus the ones who hand it over year. And the good news is it doesn't require you to be a tax expert. It just requires putting the correct system in place. So I want to introduce to you the exact system that I use with the clients I work with. I call it the Kaizen Tax Blueprint. So Kaizen is a Japanese philosophy that essentially means continuous improvement. That's the literal translation of it. And that's exactly what this system is. It's not a one-time fix. It's something that continues to grow and compound with you as your business and life changes. And it has 3 phases, each one building upon the last. So phase 1 is organize. This is the foundation. And I can't stress this enough. You can't just skip this step. You have to build the foundation before you build the throne. Before you begin to save money, we need to know where you actually stand. So that means getting your bookkeeping clean and accurate. We need to know where the numbers stand. We need to know what money is flowing in, and we need to know what money is flowing out. Second thing is, as I mentioned earlier, getting your entity structuring right. We want to make sure that we're set up as the optimal entity for your situation to save money on taxes. And the third thing is clearing up any past compliance or IRS issues. So we want to make sure that we're able to look forward to the future and not have anything lingering from the past. This gives us a clean state as we begin to move into the tax savings journey. And I know this part isn't glamorous. It's not the huge fancy tax savings and strategies that you hear about online, but it is the foundation. It is the rock on which everything else stands on. You can't just optimize a tax strategy with chaotic financials. It's like trying to build a house on sand rather than the rock that I mentioned. But once the foundation is solid, everything else begins to be set into motion. And that's where we move into phase 2, which is optimize. This is where the tax savings actually begin to happen, and we actually get to see some return on what we're doing. With a clean foundation in place, we're able to build a year-round tax strategy that is optimized to save you money on taxes. This isn't just generic advice. It's not a one-size-fits-all template, but rather it's customized based on your unique situation. It's tailored to your business and your life. In this phase, we're identifying every legal deduction available to you. So we're including the ones you're probably missing right now that we could easily be throwing in there to make a difference on the tax bill. This is also where we would continue to make sure our entity structure is proper. We might want to be looking into making the S-Corp election at this point to save money on taxes if you're at that income level. The third part of it is setting up quarterly check-ins. So this isn't a set and forget thing. This is something that we're going to keep reiterating on and we're going to keep altering to make sure that it's adjusted for what's going on in your life and your business. So the fourth thing is tracking your cash flow and projecting your taxable income throughout the year. So making sure that there's no surprises and making sure that if necessary, we're paying our quarterly estimated taxes. Phase 2 is normally where my clients start to actually feel the difference. They start to see the return. They start to see the tangible savings within their business. And it's because for the first time, they know what's going on in their business. They know how much income, how much expenses they have. They know where it's all coming from. Most importantly, they know what they're going to owe before tax season ever rolls around. And that leads us to our last phase, which is phase 3, known as scale. And this is where it really gets good and you really start to see the high level strategies come into play. Once the foundation is solid and the strategy for the week to week, month to month is optimized, this is where we start building the long-term wealth. That means we're going to be starting to invest in tax advantage savings accounts and investment accounts, such as HSAs, solo 401ks, or SEP IRAs. And these can wipe out significant chunks of your tax bill by just putting your money in investments like you already would. We're also going to be looking at other investment strategies that actually offset your taxable income. So this would be things like real estate or other depreciable assets that grow the economy and grow your wealth while also lowering your tax bill. Another part of phase 3 is making sure that every strategy that we've done throughout the year actually makes it on the tax return. It would be a waste if we did all this work just for it to not even be reflected on the tax return. So we're making sure that all the planning makes it there and that we capture the benefit of all of our planning. And the last part is planning for the year ahead. So we're always one step in front of the tax season. We're always making sure that we're never scrambling when tax season comes around. So I want to make sure that we're planning ahead for the future, planning for future investments, future business ventures, and other things that might be coming up in your life. So phase 3 is really where the compounding starts to kick in, because every year the savings build on the year before, and the strategies are able to get more sophisticated as we get further down the line. And most importantly, the savings number gets bigger every year, while the stress gets smaller every single year. When all 3 phases are working together and your books are organized, your strategy is optimized, and you're starting to build that long-term wealth, there starts to be a huge shift in how you look at tax season. You're no longer bothered by it, but rather it's something that you're looking forward to so you can see how much you actually managed to save this year. It becomes something you're completely prepared for. You know what you owe, you know why you owe it, and you know that you've done everything that you can legally to reduce that tax bill and make that number as low as possible. And that's what the Kaizen Tax Blueprint gives you: clarity, control, and confidence as your business continues to grow. So at this point, you have 2 paths. Path 1, you go at it alone. You keep using the software, you keep using ChatGPT as your tax advisor, and you keep relying on that same reactive accountant who just takes your numbers and files your return once a year. You keep pushing taxes to the back of your mind until April, when it rolls around and has a bunch of stress coming with it. Maybe it works out fine. Maybe you get lucky and you don't have a huge tax bill. But based on what I see every single day being in the industry, the likelihood of that is very low. By going at it alone, you're likely leaving thousands on the table every single year in tax saving. And every year, as your business grows and you become more and more successful as an entrepreneur, that number gets bigger. But then there's the other path, path 2, where you get a real system in place for your tax strategy. You get your books clean, you get your structure right, and you have a year-round tax plan that is optimized for your business and tailored to your situation. You stop the guesswork and you start knowing exactly what you can deduct, exactly the strategies that are available to you, exactly what you'll owe, and the exact moves that you can make next. Now, can I promise you a specific number in savings? No. Every business is unique, every business is different. But here's what I can tell you. I've worked with clients who are years behind on their taxes and brought them to fully compliant within 8 weeks with a 5-figure savings strategy put into place. I've worked with entrepreneurs who switched from the DIY software to working with me and finding 5-6 figures in tax savings just in year 1. And this is just from the basic stuff that their software was never going to catch. I've worked with brand new business owners who started with the Kaizen Tax Blueprint from day 1, and within 30 days, they had a foolproof system in place. They had a full year strategy in place for their business starting up and a complete roadmap for the year ahead. And this is all with the same tax code, the same IRS, just a completely different outcome. The only difference is the system put in place. So here's what working with me actually looks like. So I work hands-on with a small number of US-based entrepreneurs every single year. They're typically making within the $5,000 to $25,000 a month range. And these are all people who are serious about building a business the right way and are forward-thinking entrepreneurs, not just worried about the now. I get into your books, I build your strategy, I meet with you quarterly, and I'm available when things come up as well. I don't want to be like all the other accountants and tax strategists who aren't available and there for their clients. That would take away the whole purpose of all of this. But most importantly, I make sure that every legal deduction that is available to you is taken advantage of every single year. This isn't a course, it's not a template, it's not generic advice. It's me working directly with you, hand in hand, to tailor our entire strategy to your specific life and business. And because of how hands-on this is, I keep my roster small. I don't spread myself too thin. When the spots are full, they're full. I only open new spots when a client's term completes or they move into the next phase of the roadmap. So this is also invite only. You don't just sign up for this. You apply, we get on a call, and I make sure that I can actually help you in your situation and that also we're the right fit to be working together. Because I'm not looking to just work with anybody for the sake of making money. I'm looking to work with entrepreneurs who are serious about building a real business and thinking long term, not just in the now. The ones who trust the process and who are ready to step up and stop leaving money on the table for the IRS. And before I tell you what to do next, I want to be real with you for a second. I know what it feels like to look at your numbers and feel completely lost. To know that you should be doing something to change the situation. To push it off because it feels overwhelming and you just hope it works itself out. So as I mentioned, I was a W-2 employee at one of the biggest accounting firms in the entire world. And even with all of that knowledge, when I left and started my own business, I had to figure out how to build my own tax strategy from scratch. Because the hard part about entrepreneurship is that nobody hands you a roadmap, especially on the tax side of your business. The difference between me and most entrepreneurs is that I happen to have the knowledge to be able to build a system. And most people don't, and that's not a failure, it's just a gap in the learning system. And that's exactly why I do this. I don't do it to sell you something, I don't do it to make taxes sound scarier than they actually are. But it's because I believe in entrepreneurship and I want to actually help people be successful entrepreneurs. I firmly believe that entrepreneurs who are building real businesses deserve to keep more of what they earn. So look, whether you work with me or not, please just do something. Don't sit around waiting until April to begin thinking about your tax strategy. Begin to find ways to plan now and plan ahead for the future. The cost of doing nothing is real and it compounds every year. But if you do want help, if you want somebody in your corner with you, showing you the way, I'd love to talk. So here's exactly what you need to do next. First, go download the tax deduction checklist down below. This will go ahead and show you the things that you might already be missing out on and might not be getting in tax savings right now. Step 2 is DM me on Instagram with the word ready. I'll reach out personally, we'll have a quick conversation, and if it makes sense, we'll book a strategy call to talk about what we can do to help you. Or if you're ready right now, you can click the link down below to book your free strategy call directly. We'll look at your situation together, I'll show you the possible opportunities that you might have, and we'll look at what it might look like for us to work together. That's it, 3 steps. The longer you wait, the more it's going to cost you. Tax savings happen because you plan ahead, not because you wait around and scramble at the end of the year. So if you're serious about building a real business with clarity and confidence and a true financial structure in place, take action today. I look forward to us talking soon. And as always, never stop your relentless pursuit of continuous improvement.